We are okay.
I'm fine.
All right. This is the Housing Committee, and today is Monday, February 8th, 2021. This is the 6:30 p.m. Meeting for the housing. The voting member that are present today is that Councilor at Large Ana Levy, Councilor at Large Selena Reyes, and myself, Councilor for District D, Giovanni Rodriguez, and we're going to present with a statement that read as follow. Pursuing Governor Baker, March 12, 2020, order to suspend certain provision of the open meeting law 3818 and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing a strict limitation on the members of the people on the members of the number of people that might gather in one place. This meeting is being conducted remotely. There will be a remote participation and not in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public is adequately have access proceeding as provided in this order. And reminder that any person who wishes to listen or participate on these meetings, they can do so uh, via the following access: Lawrence City Council's Facebook and Lawrence City Council YouTube page. Today we have a couple of things that we're going to be discussing, and the first thing we're going to do is approve the minutes from 3:30, 20, 10:27, 20, and 11:16, 20. Councilors, can I get a motion to approve those 3 minutes?
Motion to approve.
There is a motion on the table, properly second. Can I hear a second?
Second.
Properly second. I call the roll call. Councilor Levy,
Yes.
Councilor Reyes,
Yes.
and myself vote yes. So, with that said, councilors, we have a couple of table items that we probably would like to take out. We have people from the planning department that are here tonight. So, what is the item that you guys are looking for?
Councilor Rodriguez, thank you so much. My name is Pedro Soto, for the record, planning director with the city of Lawrence. And I'm joined today by our land use planner, Dan McCarthy. The item that we'd like to take up tonight is the discontinuation of Concord Street and the alteration of the adjoining street. What I'd like to do tonight is just give a quick update of where we are in the police station project, as well as giving a quick overview of procedurally where we are in the process of discontinuation. There are a number of steps that we've already undertaken, including getting approval, favorable recommendation, I should say, from the planning department, and then take up any questions that you may have. So with that, when we met last, I believe this was in December, we were discussing the project.
All right. So before you continue, Pedro, I would like to get a motion to actually take item 25420 out of the table matters.
So moved.
Second. Second.
All right. There is a motion on the table, properly second, and I'll call the question. Councilor Levy,
Yes.
Councilor Reyes, Councilor Reyes. Noted. Councilor Payano.
Second.
Yes.
Okay.
I come back, Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes. Councilor Reyes. What is
Yes.
your vote? All right. So now we have item 25620. That is that we'll be able to engage into the discussion. So, what is the update on the discontinuing of Concord Street in Bradford Street between Hansford and Amesbury.
Thank you so much, Councilor Rodriguez. This item was first appeared in the Housing Committee in December of 2020. This particular petition is before you because we're in the process right now of designing and ultimately building a new police station. The site is actually the current, adjacent to the current fire department on Lowell Street. And our idea is really to discontinue the streets to have additional land to build the police headquarters. So when we were before you in December, we were working on an RFP to procure the services of a project manager, owner's project manager, and we've done that. We've been under contract, I believe, since late December, early January. And tomorrow we actually have a kickoff meeting with a designer that we selected through an RFP process, an architect for the project. And Dan is with us, our land use planner. Dan, if you can give us a quick update on procedurally where we are, and I'll give a quick update of our discussions with the utility.
So before you continue, Pedro, I would like to
Sure.
ask McCarthy to give us a description of the full procedure, not where we are right now, in terms of how we can discontinue the road. I know that there is some step legally, but we need to be clear as of what we need to do and then eventually where we are.
Sure, I'd be glad to do that. The acceptance or continuances of a public way is controlled by state law, and the requirements are that that it has to be sent. The request has to be made to the legislative board, the legislative department of whatever community is. In Lawrence, it's a city council that has that authority. The request is made there. For any change in a public way, it has to be reviewed by the Lawrence Planning Board, and they must have a public hearing, which is what occurred in January. And that's the point we're at. At that point, a recommendation will be made by in a report will be filed by the planning board, and that will be sent up to the council. In this case, it will be sent up to the committee, and which is what we're going to be presenting today. And then the committee will be using that resource and any other information they had during their study of the issue, will then send up a fuller recommendation to the full committee. And so that's what we're here today. I did say I sent the report around to everybody. If you could share the screen, is John there? Is he handling it today? If you could share the screen, I can. Okay. All right, we have to accept it, right? Share screen, here we go. So can everybody see that?
Yes.
So on January 6th, we had a public meeting. We advertised this in the Eagle Tribune. We also sent notices to everybody who lives on that part of Bradford Street, anybody in Concord Street, anybody that would be affected by this. We had at least 3 of the abutters appeared at the meeting and spoke. I think they were all interested to see what was happening. We didn't get any negative feedback. We got some positive feedback from some of the members who felt that the new public safety building would actually make them feel safer. And there is nobody opposed to it. The board then discussed it. I think Chief Chief Vesk made a presentation to the board. We discussed the merits of it, and the board, after conducting the hearing, took a vote, and they said it was a favorable vote, and they felt that it was the closure of the Concord Street would be in the public benefit, provided that it is being used for the construction of a new police station and public safety building. And that's where we are now. So that is the notice that's before you, the copy that is filed with the city. As I said, we provided all the people who live on the street that would be affected with a written notice to their homes. And at least 3 of them showed up. One of them had their attorney there. There was some good discussion on it, and I think everybody was satisfied with the presentation, and nobody was opposed to the closure of the street.
All right, councilors. So right now we are, I believe, basically almost halfway of the process in terms of publication, public hearing. From the planning department, already took a favorable vote on this item, and now it's the turn to the city council to discuss this. I truly believe that if we do this right, everybody's gonna benefit from it. There is a few things that we need to discuss that most likely is gonna have to be discussed in conjunction with the construction and the design and construction of the police department. While that happens, there is some traffic pattern that need to be evaluated around the area to make sure people have proper access to their home with the new configuration of the traffic. So when that happens, I would like to see a traffic study being done in coordination with the design process. So, but that's not the discussion of this on tonight's meeting. So eventually down the road, that's going to happen. So, councilors, I open the floor to you. There is any concern, questions about the process in terms of the discontinuing of this road that is currently a public road that is going to be for the purpose of the design of the new police department.
So the continuation through you, Mr. President.
Sure, Councilor Levy.
The continuation of the closing of the road is going to be forever, or just only by the meantime that we are on the construction?
No. That road is going to be the length of that road. What that road is right now, that piece of land is going to be part of the police department down the road. So that road is no longer going to exist.
But we have some property right on that road.
On one end of the road, there is property there, but that the entire road is not going to be discontinued. Only the portion that is between the two streets that we talked a couple of minutes ago.
Okay, it's not.
So that's going to be between.
It's going to be between the map.
The section of the road that is going to be discontinued is going to be between Bradford Street and Hampshire. Concord and Bradford, between Hampshire and Ansbury. So that those two sections of those two roads is the one, or between the section of Hampshire and Ansbury, those two roads that are there, which are Bradford and Concord, are not longer going to be there. So
yes,
that piece of land is going to be
Mr.
part of the design.
Mr. President,
yes, go ahead.
Between Hampshire and Ansbury, on Bradford Street, we have property, a family property right in there next to what is the name of the attorney that we had on the corner of the Ansbury? Is the Fruscia?
So
It is Attorney DeFruscia.
Oh.
If I can clarify, we're asking to have the street closed, but the building is only going to be constructed on a small portion behind the existing parking lot on Lowell Street, where the police park right now. There's a
Yeah.
parking lot, and the city owns that lot. So
Yeah.
so behind that part of that one lot, they'll be developed, and so it'll go up to the parking lot of the
San
church.
Mary.
All those homes will have access. They'll be buildable in Bradford Street as it exists now will remain open.
Okay, so that is what I want to clarify, because I know that it's a couple of property next to the parking lot that says, I don't know if that belongs to the St. Mary's Church, on the side of the St. Mary's Church.
Yep.
So we had a couple of units there. So how they going to get in there if we're going to close the portion?
They won't be affected.
Oh, okay, that's what I want to make sure. And I want to clarify that part.
Yes.
well, that's for sure. I mean, that's the last thing we want to do is have to close a road. It's not going to happen if we just blocking access to one road. So that's not the intention. The intention is to close the road of the section that is no houses around it. And if there is any property that is around, there's going to be another traffic pattern that are going to benefit them, and the new traffic pattern going to serve them to get in and get out.
Mr. Marcari, through you,
Yes.
Mr. President.
Sure.
So the parking lot that is between that the Lawrence Fire Department and that's other lot that we're talking about, that parking lot is belong to the church or the area?
It belongs to the city. On the other side of Concord Street, the Archdiocese owns a parking lot.
Okay.
And they'll still have access to their parking lot, as will the fire department will have access to Concord Street to exit and enter. The only area, like I said, is between where the fire station ends and where Bradford Street starts. So all of Bradford Streets will still be available to the tenants, and everything from the fire department and the access way into the St. Mary's Church area will all be open, all be accessible.
But
Would
it's
it be
gonna-
helpful? Would it be helpful? Excuse me, Councilor Levy, if we displayed a map while you're
Yes,
describing
because
that,
the
Dan?
one that we had is not too clear right now.
Okay.
I understand.
Dan,
I don't understand why you guys are why we getting this such a bad image from the planning. I mean, and you guys have full color images. So can you make sure that next time you send the originals to Teresa, and that way she can incorporate the originals instead of copy of a copy for any type of plan that we have? And
Yep.
yes, we can make sure they do that.
Okay.
So, as Dan was explaining, or Dan, I don't know if you want to go ahead and explain.
Well, you've got
I'll hover over.
you've got the screen right, so you can see where Bradford Street ends. You're showing that point right there.
Yes.
None of that is going to be developed. None of that is going to be developed.
All right.
In the center here, where we have the new hot top, that is the parking lot right here that the city purchased, and that is where the new building is going to go.
Yes.
And what the plans were called for, they need so many square feet, so they're going to go back into that area. So Concord Street will be cut, and Bradford Street will end at that property. But
I should mention.
Yep.
Sorry. I should also mention this road here is going to be used to construct something called a Sally Port. So it's essentially a tunnel that second and third floors are going to be constructed above it. The tunnel is going to be used, it's a secure area of the police station where vehicles can come in with, you know, a prisoner or somebody that they're questioning and enter the police station securely. The gates shut behind them, and you know they enter and you go about their business. There are no, you know, all the vehicles. One question that kind of came up, you know, in other meetings. Are you ever going to have a situation where the gates go up and then you see police flying out into the neighborhood to, you know, for a call that's being dispatched? Now, most of the vehicles in Lawrence are, you know, in the field. So they're not going to be kind of, you know, blaring out of this tunnel. But that's the reason that, you know, we're going to need to just do Concord Street on the discontinuation and an alteration on Bradford Street from, you know, a roadway that you can go kind of traverse through to a dead end. And again, the residents here, property owners here, still have access to their parcels, and there really is no disruption. So I just want to make sure that you were aware and you had a good description of what the intent of the project is, Councilor Levy.
So before Mr. Councilor Levy continues, do you guys have a designer designer already that is helping you guys with this?
We actually have tomorrow our first meeting with the designer. We had interviews last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you do me a favor? Can you put everything that you have that you just said? Can you just have them draw something and a sketch of how this is gonna look like, and that way we're clear of what we're doing.
Absolutely. When we get to that juncture, we'll totally be able to do that.
No. For the discontinuing of the road, we need to know. So if that's gonna happen next week, they're gonna take an hour and a half to do that because it's on a sketch. It's completely conceptual of what you just said to put it on a piece of paper that everything is understandable.
I could ask for that for sure.
All right. So we're expecting that for next meeting. If the city council decide to send that over to the full council, it's going to be with a condition of getting that and make sure that everything is clear.
Okay.
All right. So because I mean, it is what you're saying. I understand it, but it's better off to have a clear image of what we're looking for, what you guys are looking to do, by drawing a couple of things that actually explain that on the map, on the drawing, instead of trying to explain it like how we're gonna look like.
Yeah. One thing to
Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt real quick. Pedro, you're still sharing your screen.
Oh,
Just
sorry.
FYI.
Thank you. Appreciate it. One thing, and thank you, Councilor.
Sure.
I appreciate that. One thing that I should note is we can work to provide a concept so long as the committee understands that typically what we're going to be going through right now in design, the first stages of it is really something that, you know, sometimes we call it discovery, or another time,
we got it.
you know, well, just for the benefit of the committee, you may understand that, but I want to make sure that everybody else, we're on the same page. You know, we're going to go through a process of interviews with the police station, the public, you know, other people that are going to be using the police station to understand what the needs are. And then after the needs are determined, the designers are going to get to work on creating a design that's wrapped around those needs.
Yes, we completely understand. But what I'm asking, Pedro, it's not that. We are asking,
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to your
we're
request.
asking because as of right now, I thought one thing at the beginning of this meeting tonight, and then McCarthy said something else that no, it's not going to be that. And then Anna Levy asked another question, and then there was another answer to that. So if we put everything in a plan of what you guys just discussed, as of where possibly the design is going to be, we don't know yet. It's conceptual, and how we're going to be using that specific land that today it's the road, but we're looking to discontinue. and how the people around there, we're probably gonna have people going, or how they're gonna have access to the property.
So is a
Uh,
line drawing sufficient?
By hand?
A line drawing, is that sufficient?
By hand?
No. Just a digital line drawing, just basically some photographs.
Have
And
the
then-
design, do it. Do something nice and that look
Well,
clean and professional.
well, that's what I'm asking the designers. If I ask them to do a line drawing that's clean and professional, would
Yeah.
that be satisfactory?
As far as
Okay.
they have a clear, good imaging of how traffic is going to be moving, how people are going to have access, of course, and how they possibly have the design to where with lines. Yes, we're not looking for an isometric, or we're not looking for a specific drawing that show the building. No, we're not looking for that. You guys doesn't have data to produce that yet. But
Okay.
yes, something conceptual.
And you need this for this to move out of committee, or can this be presented at city council?
How is the timeline and how it's depend on the city, how the committee felt about. But how was the do you guys have a deadline or something, or that we should consider?
Yeah, I needed to get this out of committee by the mid-February was kind of what we discussed, because we wanted to kind of coincide with we need to have what are we calling this site control of whatever parcels we need in order to really have meaningful discussions with the designers. So we were hoping to get this kind of situated now.
Okay. All right. So if the committee have any other questions, concern, for us to move forward with this and take action,
Yes, Mr. President.
Ms. Levy.
There is something that he was explaining that he didn't finish when he presented that the plans. Can you put it back the image again, that I'm gonna have a question, because you said about something.
Yeah, I can certainly share my screen, Counselor. One moment.
Yes, please. It's a quick question.
Okay.
All right. So you mentioned, okay, so we have a Bradford and the Ansbury, and on the corner is the auto class. Okay. You
Yeah.
were pointing, is there on the corner that we're gonna have, like the tunnel that you were talking about?
I'm sorry, this is not in the project area, just this parking area here in Concord Street.
Oh, okay. No, I'm asking because your point was showing, was pointing on the auto glass parking lot. And that's why I want to make sure.
Yeah, if I'm recalling correctly, I hovered around this area to point out that Bradford Street is not going to be interrupted with this
Yes.
design, and that these property owners here still have access
All
to
right.
their parcels.
Yeah,
All
that's
right,
why we
councilors.
start talking about the tunnel, so that you point to the auto glass.
That was a mistake. I didn't mean to. That had nothing to do with
All
it.
right. No, thank you so much.
You're
Soto,
welcome.
let's put the drawing together, and that way everything is explained on that, and that way we don't have those concerns, or
Now-
probably not concern, but probably more like a confusion.
Sure.
In terms of limit of the lot, what we discontinuing all the stuff.
Okay, very good.
Councilors, yes,
I
go
would
ahead.
like to make a motion to send to the full council with the requirement that we're gonna have the draw that you are asking for.
So are you making the motion with a favorable recommendation?
I'm gonna do it with a favor recommendation.
All right. There is some background noise in the back.
Yes, somebody has some.
All right,
Second.
so there is a motion on the table to
Second.
send it to the full council, properly second, with a favor recommendation pending the conceptual drawing explaining how and where things are going to possibly be. I'll call the roll call. Councilor Levy,
Yes.
Councilor Reyes,
Yes.
Councilor Payano,
Yes.
and I vote on the affirmative. So the motion carries. Councilors, we have the personnel committee next. So they've been
Motion to
waiting.
adjourn.
Motion to
Thank you,
adjourn.
counselors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is a motion to adjourn. Councilor Reyes.
Second.
That's properly second. Councilor Reyes. Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you so much.